Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Please excuse how I look. It is currently 2:30 in the morning. That is also why I'm being very quiet. Basically, I went to bed very early because I wasn't feeling very well. And then I woke up just before midnight and I now cannot sleep. So I decided maybe I should just read until I start to get sleepy. Either that or I'm going to end up just finishing a book. So I thought that this would be kind of a good opportunity to read a book that I have been putting off reading for a while, but now that it's become a film, I'm really intrigued by it, and that is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I read Verity quite a few months ago now, and I absolutely loved it. It was very, very disturbing, but I still really enjoyed it. And I know that this is like a completely different genre. I'm pretty sure it's a romance, which isn't usually my preferred genre, but I'm still very intrigued by it. I just know that a lot of people have got into reading because of this book, so it's just really interesting to me, and I want to know why so many people love it. And also, I keep seeing trailers for the film, and I really want to see the film, but I'm that person that kind of wants to read the books before watching the film. So I thought maybe I'll just do a video where I read the book, I kind of share my thoughts on it, and then maybe go and see the film as well and compare them and see if I enjoyed them, and also if the film is accurate to the book, because I do find that sometimes that films have to change things from the book. But yeah, so when you can't sleep, why not just stay up all night reading? So I'm going to start this now, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. So I'm on page 67, which is the start of chapter 5, and I'm intrigued already, which is shocking because I'm not a fan of romance books, but yeah, I'm already intrigued. I literally feel like I've not been reading for very long at all, and I'm already on page 67, which is a good sign. It seems like our main love interest is Ryle, and he seems really interesting. I quite like him as a character so far, but hopefully things don't change. But then we've also got an insight into Atlas, who is kind of Lily's first love and was a homeless boy that she met in her teens. So it's going to be interesting to see how he kind of fits into all of this. Although it does seem like this book is going to be sad because it's about domestic violence. So yeah, I'm a bit nervous for that. But yeah, I'm already hooked, and I feel like I've barely been reading for any time at all. So that's exciting. I really love the conversations that Lily and Ryle have where they just say their naked truths. I just think that's really interesting, and it's providing a lot of depth to their characters. We're also getting some excerpts of like these diary entries that Lily's writing, but instead of just like kind of writing to herself, she's writing to Ellen DeGeneres, which is a bit strange and also hasn't aged too well. And that's kind of how we're finding out about her past, which is interesting. I also just wanted to mention the kind of dedication at the start of the book, which says, "For my father who tried his very best not to be his worst, and for my mother who made sure we never saw him at his worst." Which kind of makes it seem like this is a really personal book for Colleen, because it seems like she's kind of witnessed domestic violence in her own like personal life. So yeah, I'm very interested, and I'm gonna keep reading now. I don't really know how I'm feeling about this. Like, Ryle's just turned up to Lily's house and is like begging her to have sex with him. It's just kind of giving peer pressure. I don't know. I'm not really a fan of that. Okay, I no longer like Ryle. This is just weirding me out now. Like, she's at a party and her picture is in Ryle's apartment, like the one that he took of her on the first night that they met. It's just getting creepy now, like the whole begging and then like literally showing up to her door begging, and now a picture of her in his apartment when they never see each other. Like, they've only seen each other on a few occasions. They haven't even kissed or anything yet, so I don't know, it's just strange. And he's kind of like toying with her emotions a lot. I don't know, I'm just not getting very good vibes from this. But also, and I'll never understand this in books, this whole like connection that they have, they're like attracted to each other, but they don't want to be attracted to each other. And it's something that I would just never understand. Like, there doesn't seem to be a genuine reason why they can't just be happy that they're into each other. Like, I get it if like they were already in a relationship with somebody else, like, oh, I don't want to be attracted to you because I don't want to, you know, cheat on the person I'm with or have to break up with them. I don't want to ruin that relationship to get with you. I understand that, but they're both single. Like, why is it such a problem that they're attracted to each other? Just date. What is so hard? I don't know, I'm on page 90 and I'm just already getting a bit frustrated by this book, so we'll see how the rest of it goes. I have just read the weirdest sentence I think I've ever read in a book. Firstly, I did not know that compost is basically cow manure. I genuinely did not know that. And the line in question, I'm just going to say manure instead of the swear word, but she says, when he was wiping that cow manure on me, it was quite possibly the most turned on I have ever been. Okay, okay, Colleen. So this part is really, really hard to read. Lily's finally sticking up for her mum who's going through this domestic abuse, and Lily ends up getting hurt because of it. And it seems like Atlas is also kind of experiencing some abuse, and it's just really hard to read. It's so sad that not even just people go through this, but children. I hope that they get this right in the film, because it's very hard hitting. I'm so nervous for the direction that this book is taking and where this is going to go. That is really difficult to read. I'm on page 154, for those that know. So it looks like the abuse that Lily's mum is going through is also sexual. That's hard. That is awful. I'm literally like, oh. I don't even know if I want to carry on reading this chapter. That is really hard hitting. It is so sad that victims of this kind of abuse don't want the police to be called. I understand why, because they think it will make things worse. And yeah, I guess sometimes it can, but it's so hard that it's just so hard for these victims to get help sometimes, and it's just awful. And what a horrible thing for a child to witness as well. happening? He's just pushed her. Oh, he's gonna be an abuser just like her dad. It's so sad to read. All because he was stressed out about his hand getting ruined because he's a surgeon. So he's literally just pushed her and now they're having sex. This book is just going to be frustrating, isn't it? It's just so sad how she's saying like, oh, it was a mistake, he's not like my father. Like, I know it's only happened once in the book so far, but I've just got a bad feeling about it. Ooh. I can see why people love this book. I said to myself that once I got to page 200 I would stop and go to bed, but I really don't want to stop reading. But I need to. This last chapter that I've just read, so much has happened. Like, they went to the restaurant where Atlas worked and he could see the injury that Lily had from Ryle pushing her and also Ryle's hand, and put two and two together basically because he knows about Lily's past and he grew up in an abusive household himself. And yeah, basically a fight broke out between Atlas and Ryle, and oh, just seeing this side to Ryle is making me so sad. I'm just basically like screaming internally at Lily to leave Ryle and get with Atlas instead. Oof. This is definitely a really hard-hitting book, but I can see why it's popular. It's hard-hitting, but you just want to keep reading, like you're so invested in these characters. These last two lines of this chapter just break my heart. And it says, Atlas is wrong about Lyle. I just wish Atlas knew he was wrong. It just makes me think of all these victims of like violence and abuse out there who genuinely believe that, you know, they're not in trouble. It's just sad. It's really sad. But I don't even know what the time is right now. The last time I looked at the clock it was like 4:45, so I think it must be just past 4 a.m. and I'm just over halfway in the book, so as much as I want to keep reading, I should probably go to bed and then finish it tomorrow because this has taken me no time at all to get halfway through the book. Like, I started it at around 2:30 and then now I think it's around 4 a.m, so I've actually just checked the time and it's 4:20, so time flies by when you're enjoying the book, I guess. So yeah, I've been reading for around 2 hours and I'm halfway through the book. Like, I'm at 200 pages and I think there's like 370 odd, so I'm just over halfway in the book. I really should not be up until 6:30 in the morning, so I'm gonna go to bed and I'm gonna finish it tomorrow. Well, technically today, because if it's only gonna take me 2 hours to finish the book, then that's not too long. I feel like now I'm not going to be able to sleep because I'm just going to be thinking about the book, but I know that I need to. And I can already tell that this film is going to be so hard-hitting as well. This book is also quite spicy. I don't know why I wasn't expecting it, bearing in mind like the spice scenes there in Verity, but yeah, it's quite spicy as well, so bear that in mind. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of romance books, I think this is a lot more of like my sort of thing because the plot isn't just romance, like there's other aspects to it, and I do actually enjoy reading about serious topics because I feel like it kind of gets the word out there about them and raises awareness. So yeah, even though it's romance, I am enjoying this book, which is interesting. And I know that there's a sequel as well, so that is interesting, but I don't know anything about the sequel. I've not even read the blurb because I don't like doing that until I've read the original book, just in case. But yes, I'm going to force myself to go to bed now and I will pick up this book later and hopefully finish it. So again, forget how I look. It's been quite a few hours. It's actually 10 o'clock at night now, and I've just got out the bath after reading a little bit more. I'm on page 238. Ryle's hurt Lily again, which, no surprise. And they got married in Vegas, so yeah. I'm just really suspicious about how the rest of this book's gonna go, so I'm gonna try and finish it now. Wow. So it's just been revealed that Ryle accidentally killed his brother by shooting him when he was 5 years old. Oh, never mind, he was 6 years old. I mean, it makes sense as to why he's quite an angry person and isn't really fully in control of his emotions, but still no excuse to physically harm someone. Oh, seeing her justify Ryle's actions just makes me so mad and upset. Yes, he had reasons to be mad, but that doesn't justify what he did. I am so nervous for the rest of this book. So, I am a bit frustrated. This video was meant to be posted a while ago. Basically, I finished the book the same night that I filmed the last clip, and I filmed my whole review and everything. I also watched the film a couple of days after and filmed all of that. And for some reason, this one clip where I discussed my thoughts of the book just got corrupted. And I've not had a chance to refilm it until now, so that is why this video is a bit delayed. And yeah, I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on the book now. You can probably tell where this is going to go if you've watched the rest of the video. I did enjoy the book, I just had a couple of issues with it. I liked that it discussed a serious topic, and I will briefly talk about some of the controversy. I have seen a lot of controversy on Colleen Hoover and her books because apparently she kind of romanticizes abuse in quite a lot of her books. Now, I've only read 2 of her books, one of them being Verity, where there wasn't really any hints of abuse, and the other one being It Ends With Us. Now, personally, I did not think It Ends With Us romanticised abuse, but other people may have very differing opinions, and that's absolutely fine. And as I said, I've not read any of her other books, so I can't comment on them. It does make me, maybe not want to read them as much if that is what she's doing, but I don't know. I can't make that judgment because I've not read them myself. But if you're sensitive to this sort of thing, then maybe just be aware of that before you read her books and see if it's actually appropriate for you. But on that note, something that did really frustrate me was that there were no trigger warnings for this book. And I think that's very, very misleading. I understand that you don't always want to read a lot of spoilers for a book before reading it, but when it's about topics that are very hard-hitting and can be damaging to some people if they read about them, I think it's very, very important. This book not only touched upon domestic abuse, but also a little bit on sexual abuse, and I just really think there should have been trigger warnings for these subjects, because it's not immediately obvious that that's what this book is about. It is a very, very hard-hitting book, and I found it challenging to read, so I can't imagine what it must have been like for victims of domestic abuse to read. I just think some awareness of that would be appreciated. Also, I don't know if it's just in my copy, but there wasn't any helplines or anything for people who have suffered. And I think that would be something that's good. If you're going to touch on some really difficult topics in a book, maybe lead to some helpful websites and things like that. I'll leave some in the description, but I just think that would be helpful if it did kind of trigger something for somebody to be able to go and get some help. Another thing that I didn't particularly like about the book was just that it was really cringy, especially just some particular lines. And the whole ending, oh my god, I hated that ending. It was just really, really cringy. The whole you know, she found Atlas, they're gonna run off into the sunset together. Oh, it was just too much for me. Obviously that is a bit dramatic, but I don't know, I just wasn't really a fan of the ending. As much as I like that Lily and Atlas got together, I just think the way it was written was very cringe and there just wasn't a lot to it. It was just very abrupt. But at least she left Ryle. But yeah, it was just a bit cringy, but you know. Also, I think I mentioned it earlier in the video, the whole Ellen diary thing was just a bit odd to me. But I did actually really enjoy this book. It was a book that I finished within 24 hours. I did want to keep reading. I was very intrigued the entire time. Overall, I did actually really like the pacing of it. Although some parts were cringe, I did think the pacing was really good. And the character depth was really interesting as well. Getting these flashbacks of what Lily's gone through and, you know, her kind of early relationship with Atlas. As well as us getting to know Ryle a little bit more through, you know, the events that happened to him and his sister. So I do think the character development was there. So yeah, I did enjoy the book. Obviously, I had a couple of issues with it. Overall, I rated it 3.5 stars. I just want to emphasize that you should really check for trigger warnings before reading this book. If you're not concerned whatsoever, then go ahead and read it if you wish to. But if you're sensitive to any sort of topics, I would definitely check a trigger warning list. But yeah, in the next clip, I have watched the film and I kind of give my thoughts on that. So yeah. Hello everyone. So I watched the It Ends With Us film last night as I'm recording this, and I have some thoughts. I didn't particularly like the film. It was really long. Like the romance side of the film was really long, and it just seemed like it was dragged out so much. But then when it actually came to the abuse, not all of the abuse was shown. So I don't know, I just found the pacing of the film really strange. I think the pacing of the book is actually quite good, so I'm not really sure what happened there in terms of the film. I did like that Colleen Hoover had her own cameo. She was in the party scene, and I do love it when authors have cameos in adaptations of their books. The romance was really cringe in the film, but then again, it was cringe in the book as well, so I guess it's true to the book in that respect. I like Blake Lively, but I don't know, I think she was definitely too old to be portraying Lily, but that happens all the time in films. But the one thing that mainly annoyed me about it was she was biting her lip constantly, and it just really cringed me out. I went with my housemate and she didn't notice this, but I literally was like, why is she biting her lip every 2 seconds? I don't know if anyone else has noticed it, let me know if you did, but yeah, I wasn't a fan of that. They did seem to cut out the Ellen diaries. You do kind of see a pan of the young Lily writing to Ellen, but there's not really anything mentioned other than that. And personally, I think that was a good choice just because I find the Ellen diaries quite cringe. But also, we just got flashbacks instead, and I think that was really effective. Although the actors that play young Atlas and older Atlas look nothing alike, which wasn't their best. It was just quite confusing. Also, I love Alyssa. She's one of my favourite characters in the book. But when she first got introduced in the film, I was like, why have they made her so annoying? She did get a lot better though, but in that first initial scene, in the book I fell in love with her straight away, but in the film I was like, why is she being so annoying? But yeah, I just think the pacing of the film was a bit off. It was really long to begin with and boring, and yeah, it was just a lot of romance. And then, I don't know, I just feel like the abuse was skipped over quite a bit. However, the actors that played younger Lily and older Lily looked so alike, literally down to the mole. Like, it was amazing. I've seen a lot on social media about people crying during the film. I am really emotional with films and books and everything, but I didn't even feel that teary during the film, really. I obviously got a bit teary during reading the book, but the film I just didn't feel it as much. I don't know if that's partially because I knew what was coming, but I do think it's also because I just didn't really get that feeling. It didn't hit me as hard. Also, the ending of the film was just as cringe and awful as in the book. Also, if you've watched my channel, then you'll know that I am a huge Taylor Swift fan, and they use her song My Tears Ricochet in the film. Now, I think this is a perfect choice for this story, and yeah, I just thought it was amazing. However, when they had the sequence of playing Mighty as Ricochet, they still had a lot of dialogue in the film, and I just think the dialogue got really lost because the song was still playing really loud. Usually in films they tend to like either lower the vocals in the song or just take the vocals out for that part and just have the instrumental, just so it doesn't take away from the dialogue, and I don't know why they didn't do that in this film. I mean, I love Taylor, but I just couldn't really understand why that was a choice, because I did not know what the dialogue was saying because I was so distracted by the vocals in the song. I don't know if maybe it's because I love Taylor Swift so much and I love that song so much, but yeah, it was just kind of distracting. So to kind of summarise, I wasn't a fan of the film and wouldn't necessarily recommend it. I did really enjoy the book, but I would just be careful about trigger warnings if you want to read it. It's not the best book I've read, it's not even like the best romance book I've read, but it is okay, and I am glad that I read it. I do think that it raises a lot of awareness, but definitely check trigger warnings both for the book and for the film because it does show things and it can be quite challenging. But that was my reading vlog for It Ends With Us, as well as what I thought of the film as well. If you've read the book or watched the film, let me know what you think in the comments. And yeah, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you later.